love we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough and it seems like your best ain't good enough, if you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Once a month, I am so excited when Dr. Jennifer Gramith comes in the classroom. She is with Rightway Health and Wellness in Woodstock, Georgia, just a skip and a jump away from all of us because she does telemedicine as well. So there's so many different ways that she has helped us in the classroom as well as in her office. And so we've learned how to clear out our liver. We've learned about ZYTO and EVOX and the gallbladder. I said gallbladder and liver cleanse. And we've learned about the importance of our lymphatic system. And everything that she brings us a little step closer to figuring out those puzzle pieces. Now today, as we enter allergy season, beautiful spring, we are going to be talking to Dr. Jennifer Gramith about her tips and naturally reducing these allergy symptoms and breathing free. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Jennifer Gramith is here to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom, Dr. Jen.
Thank you, Lillian. It's always my pleasure to be here with you guys, and especially on this beautiful spring day here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I've heard you had quite a bit of cold front coming through in Florida.
Yeah, it's like winter and spring are duking it out, and I think winter has won a little bit. But today, I mean, it's there've been some beautiful days, and I saw a meme, a graphic that said that it doesn't snow in Florida, it pollens. So I thought this is great for the class today. And some of the things that are happening, especially as we're walking away from all the viruses that we've had in the past, and now we're getting into allergy season. And so take it away, Dr. G, because it is so important that we learn how to stay on top of these allergy issues.
Right, because it's really important to understand why you have allergies in the first place. There's over 50 million Americans that suffer from allergies every year. That's a third of the population. And so it's something that a lot of us deal with. I've dealt with it. We talked earlier in the week, and I went camping over the weekend with my family. And it was quite cold, but there was pollen everywhere. And so came back with allergies myself, wondering if it was a cold or a flu. And I think that's kind of where our mind goes today, is like, oh, do I have another virus? Do I have this? And we almost in a panic, start taking a bunch of stuff. So today we're going to talk about why you get allergies or why you develop reactions, and what you should do and what you probably shouldn't do that we tend to do very quickly. So I'm
looking forward to it, because we can never learn enough about the things that we do intuitively and naturally that
Mhm.
may be working, but there are other things that aggravate the problem. So let's talk about, why do we have allergies? Why is it that I have allergies and somebody else doesn't have allergies?
Right. So it's where your lymphatic system is and your immune system is. And so you may have exposures to a lot of different burdens, body burdens, like with your type of job or in your area around your house. You have a lot of pesticides sprayed. You're going to tend to develop more allergies, not only to the environment, but also to foods and chemicals and things like that. It's your immune system is designed to respond to any foreign pathogen that comes into the body. And it is designed to have a histamine reaction, to combat that. So what happens is our immune system is trying to do what it's supposed to do for us, and the reason that we start becoming symptomatic is because our threshold is here. Our immune system's here, lymphatic system congestion's here, and that's the threshold. But the burdens that we have on the body are more than what it can handle. And so you start reacting and start having symptoms. So the key to not having allergies and sensitivities is to reduce the body burden to below where the immune system can tolerate it. And so then you're not going to have those issues. Most of us are in the process, like I think we talked in a previous show about, just the process of building disease. Most of us are just full of toxins and they're just accumulating and more and more and more. We may have not gotten a diagnosis, but we have a lot of symptoms. We just feel, cruddy all the time. So those are the individuals that are really at risk for having more reactions to the environmental, inhalant type of allergies. And so again, you're our first go-to. We've kind of been trained to, if I start sneezing and my eyes start to water, what do you do? What do you normally do, Lillian?
Oh, vitamin C. That's my first line of defense.
Smart.
First, I blow my nose, and then I go get some vitamin C. And
Right.
And so sometimes I also do hydrogen peroxide nebulization. And so
Mhm.
those are my go-to right now. As you
Right.
know, just like you were feeling really sick at the beginning, both of us were like, "Oh, I'm sick too." I had to change the workshop that I was going to do March 17th, and we moved it to April 21st
Right.
because you and I have to be at our best when we're doing these things. We can't be
Sure.
coughing, and it's a distraction. So for me, that's my first. Oh, and sucking on garlic. I love to suck on garlic. I apologize to everybody about my breath, but when I have a sore throat, that just takes it away right away, and it
Mhm.
keeps the vampires away. But go ahead. What
That's
should we
true.
do?
Yeah, that's exactly true. So you're doing all of the right things because you are taking anti-inflammatories
Okay.
type of supplements. And so that's something that you want to do. What you don't want to do necessarily is run, because the majority of the people will run to the local pharmacy and they will get what? Allergy medicine.
Over the counter stuff.
Yeah. So what is allergy medicine? How does it work? It's an histamine blocker, right? So you're having a histamine reaction. So you think, oh, I need a histamine blocker because I don't want to have this histamine reaction. Does that take away your allergy to that substance? No. What it does do is it shuts down the immune process, the natural immune process. So if you take a histamine blocker, here goes your army of defense. They lay down on the job. And so when that bacteria, that virus that you have exposures to comes into the body, you have no reaction to it for a period of time. And so it's something, these patients who take these antihistamines every single day, it's not a great way to protect your body, and be healthy. It actually is putting you at more risk. So what you want to try to do, instead of blocking the reaction, which is the natural immune reaction to an invader in the body, you want to kind of support your immune system on the other end, okay? And then do things that are antioxidants, anti-inflammatory. You're going to have a reaction to it, but then support the body so it can deal with it like it's designed to deal with. So you may have a little symptoms for a few hours, but then it'll start to go down and your body will be healthy and you will not be suppressing your immune system. So I think that's probably one of the main things that I think people should take from today's message is that, don't throw that Band-Aid on top of that. Your body's telling you something. Number one, it's telling that you have way too many burdens on your body, or you wouldn't be having this reaction. So you might want to think about detox, just general detox to get some of those burdens off of your body. And so you may ask, well, what, how am I going to know what to detox from? And that's where the technologies like the biofeedbacks, devices, blood tests can tell you if you have, high bacterial loads or viral loads or, things like that. So there's all kinds of testing out there that can give you clues to what is burdening your immune system and why it's reacting.
So it'll tell you that there's something that's hurting you. So these tests will tell you what exactly will it say to pinpoint where it needs to go?
So with the biofeedback, which is one of my foundational tests, it'll look at the function of all your organs and glands, and it'll look at their body burdens. So let's say, for instance, you work as a mechanic and you're around all kinds of metals and soldering and things like that. So you have those types of exposures. It'll actually read those types of exposures, show you how high they are in your body, and then you would do something to detox. So it's actually going to look at all of that. It's going to look at chemical, environmental toxins. It's going to look at other types of food allergies, things that you may be eating that's creating, all this inflammation. It will look at even your emotions, because that can trigger just a burden and suppression on your immune system. Your hormone imbalances, which are typically caused from the environmental toxins, the heavy metals, the chemicals, glyphosate, all of that is going to show up in how much it's burdening your body, because we all have exposures to these things, but it may be that you have way more heavy metals than I have, and I have a higher bacterial load than you have. And so you want to know these things so that you can detoxify your body properly. But you can just do general detox.
Yeah.
And you can get far with just general detox.
Well, before we ask about the general detox, are you talking about the biofeedback as in ZYTO?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure we call it what it is so that if anybody is interested, just ask for the ZYTO biofeedback test, because you could do this from anywhere. You get a cradle and it's sent to you, and you're able to put your hand on this cradle and they get all the readings. It's amazing. It's like, most people go woo woo, but it's not. It's amazing, and how it picks up all this energy, all this frequency. And so, how much is the ZYTO? And I know that people, if they enter, they say Lily 20,
right.
They get percentage off.
Yeah. So if you do Lily 20, or you just mention Lily, you get 20% off of it. I don't know the exact, it's around $300 for the ZYTO testing. And that is like a very comprehensive, test. So it looks at everything. It kind of gives you a broad picture of what's going on, and it categorizes and prioritizes your, burdens on the body. So you may have a lot of different things going on, but it's going to actually prioritize what you need to work on first. Okay. And that's critical, because many times we want to go after what we think is causing the problem, and it may not be. Just like, we've talked about before with Lyme patients, and doctors are typically wanting to get to the Lyme, get to the Borrelia or the Bartonella, but you really, if they have high levels of heavy metals, you have to pull those out first. in order to be successful with the spirochetes. So there is a method to detoxification properly and safely for the client. And so we should all be in practice of doing some type of detox on a yearly or, a couple of times a year based upon your exposure.
Okay. So I just wanted to show you, this is the cradle for ZYTO. They send it to you. You put your hand on this cradle and it's connected to your computer, which connects to their system, and they're able to read some of this information. So high five for you that you have. I just wanted to give myself a high five on this one. But so ZYTO is what you asked for if you're interested in doing this biofeedback to help and find out what are the burdens in our body. Okay. So now with that information, let's move forward to the next, what you wanted to talk about next.
Well, so it's just some things that I think everybody needs to know, certain supplements that you can use. So really keep in mind, you're not looking for a histamine blocker, but you are looking for things that help to knock down the inflammation after the fact. And so, I don't want to suffer for weeks and days. So how can I support my body to help knock down the inflammation caused from the reaction, to the exposure?
Okay.
So those are things like you said. Vitamin C is excellent. To start taking vitamin C, and typically it's to bowel tolerance. So you pop a 500 or 1,000 milligram up until it starts to cause loose stools.
Gassiness, or a little gassiness, right?
Or gassiness, or and so then back it down a little bit. So that's one thing. Garlic is another. Garlic is a natural antibiotic. So if your defenses, are compromised because it's having to deal with this allergen, then you're covered too in case you start to develop a bacterial or parasitic infection or even a viral infection. You are covered, plus it's an anti-inflammatory. And so that's a great thing. Olive leaf, echinacea, those are all natural antibiotics. Silver, sovereign silver is one of my favorite things.
I've got this here right now for my throat.
Yeah. So, that's a great thing to spray in your throat, squirt up your nose, and then nebulize. So you can nebulize silver as well. Hydrogen peroxide.
How much silver? Because I've never nebulized silver, colloidal silver, because I just didn't know. Can I just do it straight?
You can do it straight.
Okay.
Yeah. And
can I mix it with hydrogen peroxide, or that would be too sweet?
I would not mix it with, you could do it back to back though. You could do a hydrogen peroxide and then follow it with a silver, or do a hydrogen in the morning and a silver at night. Rotate it like that. You can also take it internally, take a teaspoon of silver. Nettles is a great herb. That's a great anti-inflammatory. We use a lot of stinging nettles for pain, inflammation, but it works great for allergies as well. Rosemary, a lot of people don't realize rosemary is great for allergic rhinitis. And so there's just a lot of things that maybe in your garden, that you could just get out and make a tea out of, or, pick up some essential oils. There's rosemary essential oils. I like to use that and then put it on my sinuses. Just be very careful with essential oils not to get them in your eye. I've done that. It's not pleasant. So, but there's actually been a lot of clinical studies on rosemary and how effective it is with allergies. And
you just take the rosemary, like the branch, and boil it, or you
can
just
do that. You can make a tea, and you can chop it up and you can eat it. But the best way would be probably the most concentrated way would be an essential oil. Okay. And so you can take that, and people in one of the studies I looked at, there was a clinical trial, and I'm trying to remember. they gave rosemary to the patients who had chronic sinusitis. They always had, a reaction, spring, fall. And in 21 days of taking that, the majority of their allergies and sensitivities went away. So that's pretty impressive with that one rosemary. Yeah, that one product.
So, I mean, I'm going to go check out maybe some rosemary tea, like little tea bags, or just maybe the herb itself, the dried up herb, because I love the way it smells. I don't know about drinking it though. I'd love to try it.
Yeah, that's why I like it with an essential oil, and I'll put a drop on my thumb and put it to the top of the roof of my mouth.
Really?
Absorb very quickly. That's what we do with frankincense with patients with brain tumors or brain inflammation. We put the frankincense on the thumb and hold it to the top of the mouth, and it helps reduce inflammation. I mean, just a few seconds.
It's been a while since I've done that.
Yeah. So that,
I don't think I ever sucked my thumb.
Are you sure now?
I'm pretty sure. I think so.
I think my mother put hot sauce on mine when I was a kid to get me to stop sucking my thumb.
Oh, you see?
It's really therapeutic.
I tell you what, I used to, whenever I see my babies put their thumb in their mouth, I'd take their thumb out and I'd put the pacifier in, because you can throw out a pacifier, you can't throw out a thumb.
That's true. That's true.
That was it. I told my daughter too, don't let her put her finger in her thumb in her mouth. And my niece put 3 fingers, and when she was growing up, her teeth like fit right there. It's like her teeth didn't grow through where the fingers were.
So hard.
I digress. Okay. So anyway, love the idea of, because I have frankincense. And so you give this to people who have tumors, brain tumors, and they can put a drop on there. How often can you do that?
You usually do it twice a day. Yeah.
Wow.
And it just brain inflammation too. So if you know that you have
cognitive decline.
Cognitive decline. Yep, for
One
sure.
drop twice a day.
Yep.
And how long do you suck? I mean, you're not sucking,
you're just putting it up there. You're just putting it up there. Hold it for about 10 seconds, and then.
Wow. Wow, look at this. Isn't this wonderful? All the information that you get from Dr. Jennifer Gramith of Rightway Health and Wellness. I'm sure you want to call her right now. 404-474-2100. This is great. Great information. So this and rosemary, can you do that with garlic? Can you do that with other things that could
cause? Yeah. If you're wanting to get it up into the sinuses or go past the blood-brain barrier. Now there's certain things that don't cross the blood-brain barrier, but the essential oils do.
Oh, really?
So that's why we use those essential oils. But, it depends on your symptoms. So some people just get itchy, watery eyes and a little bit of drainage. Some people get extremely mucusy when they have an allergic reaction. I have been known to do that. So get really the mucus and the drainage becomes very thick. So I have used marshmallow and fenugreek, which are 2 herbs, especially when they're combined, work really well at thinning out the mucus within a very short amount of time, like 12 to 24 hours.
Wow.
And so I used to, before I really did detox, when I was back in the medical field, and, you work all the time, you're stressed out, you don't eat right. Dairy would make me very mucusy. I would take marshmallow and fenugreek on a daily basis, so that I could breathe and not react so severely and be able to work, because it makes you feel terrible. And so even before I knew anything, I knew that marshmallow and fenugreek really helped with the congestion and the mucus. But there's an amino acid too, the NAC is a great for thinning out the mucus. And it's got a lot of great properties for other health benefits as well. But it really gets rid of that stringy, rubbery type of mucus that people are coughing up. So, and one thing, pay attention to what you're blowing out of your nose and what you're coughing up, because if it turns yellow or green, you have an infection. And so you need to be taking some type of natural antibiotic, like, we talked about the silver, the garlic, the echinacea. Echinacea is great for upper respiratory infections, and golden seal, things like that. Olive leaf, those are great natural antibiotics.
Nice, nice. Well, I want to clarify here because I can just picture everybody running to the store and buying a bag of marshmallows. This is not marshmallows. This is marshmallow root, right?
Yeah, marshmallow root. So not marshmallows, no s'mores that will actually make your allergies work.
Dang it!
Yeah. But chocolate is actually beneficial for you. It's
Cacao
dark
nibs.
chocolate.
Cacao
Yeah.
nibs. Okay.
Yeah, cacao nibs are good.
I just said I gained 100 pounds. So this
And my allergies aren't even better.
no, now I've got other issues. I got diabetes, no marshmallow bags. Okay.
Job security is job.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Okay. So what else do you have?
Black seed, which is cumin, is good. So I cook with a lot of cumin at home. I put it in a lot of my soup recipes, but you can actually get it in capsule form and take it. It's excellent. A lot of clinical trials done on cumin to show its support for allergies, especially seasonal allergies. But these work because they're all anti-inflammatories. And they reduce and thin out mucus and things like that. So, it's not a blocker. It's not a histamine blocker, which is going to block you from reacting and suppress your immune system. It is actually supporting your immune system, which is what, if you have a really good diet, you're not as likely to have these allergies. And so a lot of times it's when we're under a lot of stress and we're not getting good sleep and our defenses are already down and we already have these burdens because we haven't taken time to detox. And then it's just like that perfect storm. And then we have a reaction. People who have reoccurring allergies, like every season, have a very compromised immune system and need to get on, that more importantly, for the long term and the big picture, because they're headed down that road, that very wide road to chronic illness. The majority of people are headed down that road. And I always love that Robert Frost poem, the two roads, and you have the narrow road and then you have the wide. So I think I was thinking, I was driving in the car the other day and I heard it's just sad news about a family member that, was in her 50s and she had a stroke. And it's just, you are getting to that age where you're going to see more and more of that happening. And you don't really want that for yourself. And you don't want your families to go through that. And that is totally up to us. And, I just started praying, Lord, whatever it is that I don't see or in my own life, reveal that to me, because I don't want to be that. I don't want that to happen to me or to my family. And I realize that I am completely and totally responsible, for that, because I make the decision of what I put into my body and how well I take care of what, God has given me. So we all do, and we all have to take it more seriously. And we can't just keep saying, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll get in shape tomorrow. I'll eat healthier tomorrow, because, tomorrow may be too late for you. And I hate to sound so gloom and doom, but I see it every day and it's so frustrating to me, because it's not necessary. And we're all guilty in some degree of it. None of us live a perfect life. We strive, but we don't live a perfect life. And it's not that we need to live a perfect life, but we should be striving and trying to get better every day.
Great words of wisdom, Dr. Jen. There's so many things, and I really do believe that our limitations, our limiting beliefs, what was told to us by our parents and their parents and their parents was planted by a deceiver, because it used to be 100 years ago that when people would get a fever, they would write it out. They would, starve a fever, feed a cold, or whatever that goes,
Right.
whatever the saying goes. I mean, they even had sayings for it. And now anybody who gets a fever, we stop it with Tylenol. Now you were talking earlier about cold, anti histamine
Histamine.
blockers, whatever. I never even thought of that. But I don't take them because I have other tools in my toolbox. Because if you only have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail, right?
Right.
So I have other tools in my toolbox. But does the same thing happen when someone is taking, for example, a histamine blocker? Does the same thing happen to someone that is taking a fever blocker or reduce the fever? Let's talk about
Right.
that too, because that could happen as well.
Yeah, and that is what's happening, and that's why so many people have a compromised immune systems, because it is a knee-jerk reaction. Our children spike a fever, let's give them Tylenol because we don't want them to suffer, right? And so what happens with the pain and fever reducer, it does this exact same thing as a histamine blocker. The body creates a fever to burn out the virus, the bacteria, or the pathogen that's invaded our body and caused us to be sick. Okay, so that's that immune response to that pathogen. If you shut off the response and you suppress the fever that is the cure to the pathogen invading our body, then what happens is, yeah, you feel a little bit better, but you typically have, excuse me, reoccurrence of the sickness. And then you drive it deeper into the body, into the cells. And then instead of it being an acute issue, it turns into a chronic issue. And that's what leads to chronic disease. I mean, so, that's our own doing, because we didn't really process and think about, what we were doing and how we were interfering with the body's design to heal itself. And and I'm not saying never give a, fever reducer,
Yeah.
because there is limitations. So if your immune system, it doesn't burn out and the bacteria is resistant and it continues, your fever continues to go high to 104, 105, and up, it could kill you. So there is a time, but the majority of the people that are running fevers are taking it when it's 99, when it's 100, when it's 101, even 102, I wouldn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
With a child, if it got up to 103, definitely, is when I would start getting concerned, finding out what's going on, with my child. Myself, I would, 103, 104, something like that. So because you kind of get delusional when your fever goes too high and it heats up the brain. But you can put them in a cold bath, back in the old days.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So you're assisting, but you're not obstructing what the immune system tried to do. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I was going to say to you as you were saying that. I was thinking, God, I remember when my mom would put me in a tub, when my temperature would get high. And then I learned that if your child gets a temperature of 103 or 104 and they don't go into seizures or convulsions, then that means that that's their threshold. That's their threshold. And then, so, that they can handle that. But of course, if they're having a seizure or anything like that, let's put them in. Can you add anything to the water that they're bathing in, or wash? Like, I remember my mom putting a wet washcloth on my forehead. I don't remember taking Tylenol as a child. I really don't.
Yeah, me either. My mother would just let you sleep it off. One thing that you need to make sure of is that they stay hydrated. Correct. And so a lot of times with children, they just don't want to, drink anything. They don't want to nurse. They just are just very lethargic. So you do have to really monitor them that, if my child was not drinking fluids, I would take them to get fluids. more so than giving, a Tylenol,
Yeah.
Tylenol or ibuprofen or something like that.
Could putting them in a tub hydrate the body? Because it's the skin absorbs, right?
Yeah, it absorbs to a degree,
Okay.
but you would be better off at giving them minerals.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So like a liquid refuel mineral, something like that.
Which you have at Rightway Health and Wellness, right?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And you can go to shop Rightway Health and Wellness. By the way, go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and while you're there, make sure that you subscribe, like and follow, share, because as you know, the algorithms are much smaller than the 99% of us. So make sure that you're doing your part to spread the good news, share this video, especially with new mothers. We need to stop the lies that were told after, like 100 years ago, that this pill is going to work for everything that we do. So while you are doing that, go to our sponsors. We have Dr. Jennifer Gramith, who is a wonderful sponsor, and we have other sponsors that go check them out, support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. You also can go check out my Shop Now bag. We have events happening soon, so make sure that you sign up for the free webinar next Tuesday, the 28th of March at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you text me or you click on the link and let me know that you would like to have a seat in the front row for the free webinar session. We also have the Shop Now bag. You can shop till you drop. These are all Lily approved items, and everything that you look in there is going to be to empower you and put you in the right place naturally. And then of course you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. So whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, or a one-time donation, or whatever you can, will help the classroom. That's either your time, your talent, your treasure. And I want to thank Dr. Jennifer Gramith for being so wonderful. You can find her at rightwayhealthandwellness.com. You can also shop for any of the products that she's sharing today at shoprightwayhealth.com. Dr. Jennifer, is there anything that you'd like to promote that's happening at Rightway Health and Wellness?
Yeah, so we actually have a whole kit coming out to boost the immune system, and that's going to be ready and on our e-commerce site in probably 8 weeks. And so it's the Dr. Jen's Immune Kit, which has great probiotics, really good plant-based vitamin C, the green tea, which we didn't get into today, but green tea is an excellent antioxidant. And it's got the Dr. Jen's Immuno Blend, which you're familiar with, that has a lot of the essential oils that are really good antimicrobials. And so, so I'm excited about that.
Congratulations.
And next week, we actually have Dr. Dawson here at my clinic teaching a recall healing workshop. So we're super excited to have her here and talking about that, because we didn't even discuss the emotions associated.
We can still do it. Let's talk about it, because we got plenty of time.
Well, it's funny because you hear her talking, and if she hears me get a little congested, she'll say, well, what in your life is a stinky situation that you want to deal with? And
I can hear her.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, Michelle, maybe it's you.
You bring that up is stinky.
I know it. She is precious. I just adore her. So, it's true though. It's usually, if I start to think, it's like, what is it? Like, this weekend we did a camping trip. My daughter and my granddaughter came, but I'm missing all of my grandkids. And so it was cold, and I'm thinking I'd much rather be at the beach with all of my kids and grandkids than up here in the mountains freezing my butt off, basically. And it's covered with pollen. And I think that's probably part of it. It was just I was just doing it because it was already planned. I really didn't want to go as a stinky situation, but I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And how often do we do that? All the time.
Well, isn't resistance, doesn't that lower your immune system?
Correct. Yes. Yep. It sure does.
So
Yeah.
you see, don't you hate it when she's right? Doesn't she when Dr. Michelle is right?
That's
Dang.
right. I do. Yeah, I hate that.
We'll have to gang up on her next time we're all
Yeah.
together. Okay.
Exactly.
So you also mentioned green tea. So we still have time. So let's continue talking about green tea and other
So
things that you'd
it's
like to
just-
discuss.
Right. So it's any antioxidant. And I take green tea, especially coming into spring and summer when you're going to be outside in the sun. Of course, vitamin D is excellent for you. That's another thing that you can add if you're not taking it, but make sure that you test your levels before you start taking high doses of it. But green tea, whether you drink it or you take it in capsule form, it is amazing at boosting your immune system and getting rid of all the damage done from these free radicals that we are exposed to. So green tea is, it's a practice of a lot of cultures, and that's how they stay healthy. It's very essential to good health.
I read an article about lemon balm tea.
Okay.
And it said that it helps improve collagen in your skin, in your body. And I started taking it and drinking it. And I don't drink coffee anymore. Very rarely, if I do drink any coffee. And if I do, it's a decaffeinated, organic decaffeinated, but that's another story. But I've been taking that. Does lemon balm tea have any benefits in your practice?
I mean, it has a lot of benefits. I've not really thought of using it for allergies. We use lemon balm for emotions and stress and relaxation.
Nice.
But it's a good point. I'm sure there are some components to that are very effective. Butterbur is good, and
butter beer.
Butterbur. It is good. And as far as for allergy treatment, I'm bringing up the ones that they've actually done a lot of studies. Turmeric is excellent. Turmeric? But yeah. So, and I love turmeric, and like I make a great plant-based, like a Thai coconut soup with it. And I throw it in there. I throw it in my bio coffee, because in the bio coffee, which is very alkaline to the body, it has the wheatgrass in it. And then you add the turmeric. It's excellent anti-inflammatory. So it's good for joints and allergies and all kinds of things.
Now, do you sell the bio coffee at Rightway Health and Wellness?
Yes.
You do. Okay. So all these things, is there anything else that we have that is great for allergies, and little tips and tricks for allergy season that can help us, improve our even more, other things that you might have up your sleeve?
So the last supplement I would say would be ginger, because ginger is really good for the lymphatic system. It helps to decongest the lymph. So that's key in helping the body to be able to direct the immune system. If your lymphatic system is congested, your immune system is slowed down, the response is slowed down. So ginger is great. Dry brushing, learning how to do dry brushing yourself for your lymphatic health is ideal. And then we have patients come in who do the ALT, the assisted lymphatic therapy, and you can do just head and neck to really open up your sinuses. It helps our clients, to not have to take antihistamines or even supplements for weeks on end when they used to be so allergic to spring and fall seasons. So that's another thing. And what it does is it dissolves the inflammation in the sinuses, and it thins out the mucus and helps with the proper drainage pathways.
Well, I tell you what, you did that at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. And we had to get kicked out of the place because the line was so big that the
That's so
people
true.
wanted, they know that this works. They wanted to try it out. This was an incredible event, and you were just so amazing. Great
Okay.
talk, great event. You know, it was just so wonderful to have you there and Michelle at the event. When it comes to, because I've had this question before, people that have heard you and they know that you work with ALT, it stands for what?
Assisted lymphatic therapy.
Okay, assisted. Because I was thinking manual, but I'm going, there's no M in there. Okay, so it's assisted lymphatic therapy. Do you have a list of practitioners? Because I know that one of your practitioners that you trained was there at the event, and I'm sure she got a lot, because she, every time you talk about it, she would raise her hand, and
Yeah.
people are like, okay, she is a practitioner. And so do you have a list of people in your website that if somebody wanted to go to someone you've trained anywhere
Mhm.
around the world, can they access that?
Yes. So if you go to the Rightway Health and Wellness website, there's a map, and you just put your state, and it will tell you all of the therapists in the cities that they're in and their contact information. And so if you don't find someone you're looking for on there, because we're in the process of updating everything, just contact my office and they will go through our database and make sure that you find someone close to you.
Very good. That sounds really good. Okay, so what are other things that we need to learn about allergy season as we embrace the spring that's already sprung?
Yeah, and just be prepared. Be prepared with having these anti-inflammatories and these natural antibiotics on hand so that you can start taking them as soon as you start to develop symptoms, or if you just want to prevent from reacting, because this is a common occurrence for you, go ahead and start taking those types of supplements. And I will tell you, I used to have such severe allergies when I was young that my body, if I sat outside in the grass, I would break out in hives. My eyes would swell shut. I started taking the area bee pollen in the winter time for the winter months, because it can't be mid-season. And did you know that after just one winter of taking out the area, it has to be your area bee pollen, I no longer had those reactions. And I had went through as a child weeks and weeks and years of allergy shots that never helped me. I was miserable growing up with my allergies. And so I highly encourage you to think about that. And you start off with a very tiny amount, like even just a small half of a granule, and you build yourself up over time to about a half of a teaspoon a day. And you're doing it only in the winter months. And then when spring comes, you stop, and it's amazing how it will reduce your allergies. So it's kind of like a little mini type of homeopathic vaccine, as you say. You're kind of building up your resistance so your body knows what to do, and it's triggered. The memory of your immune system is triggered when you have that exposure. So
I need to ask you then, because I have tried to take bee pollen. And when I start, I take just a little bit and I'm okay. But then after a week, like I try to increase it every day. Like, I take 1 grain one day, and then I take 2 grains, and I keep increasing it. By the time I get to like maybe 6 grains of bee pollen, I can't sleep at night. What's wrong with me?
It's too many B vitamins in it for you. I would go even slower than that. So
Okay.
typically I have them start with a half and just take one, little tiny half of a granule. And then after 3 days, go up to a whole one. And then you just gradually build up very, very slow.
Wow.
And we can actually muscle test you or test you with biofeedback and how much your body can tolerate. And so everybody's different on the dose. Not everybody needs a half of a teaspoon. You just need enough,
Okay.
enough to,
Then
yes.
I'll go back to because I was just doing 2-3 grains and I was fine with that. But as I increase it, it just seems like it's causing me to not have
Not be
good
able to
sleep.
sleep.
And that's
Yeah.
so important. I mean, I must admit that when I was younger, sleep wasn't important to me. Going to the bathroom wasn't important to me, heck. I was thought that was a
Hold
waste
it all
of
day,
time.
yeah.
It was like a waste of time, literally a waste of time.
You're so
And
funny.
but now it is important to me. That's
Right.
the body speaking back to us. And
Correct.
so we were talking a little bit about the emotions and
Mhm.
how we bring Dr. Michelle Lamasa Dawson into the mix. And I'm glad that you guys are doing an event. I'd love to be there, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
and so when you're thinking about emotions, what are other, I mean, we were going to be doing a class on EVOX pretty soon. Can you share how EVOX would help with the emotions, the trapped emotions, as far as with allergies, how it
Right.
manifests through allergies?
Well, so EVOX helps because once you have identified, what the issue is, and that's how recall healing or New German medicine works, is you go by your symptom that's created. The body's creating a symptom to tell you something. And so with allergies, a lot of times it has to do with, just kind of feeling like you're kind of forced into doing something you really don't want to do. It's kind of a sticky situation, or you don't really want to deal with it, but you got to deal with it. And watery eyes and things like that. Every symptom that you have means something. And so that's why I love recall healing. So we take that information and then we go and we do an EVOX session around it. So what is it in your life that, or is it someone you're dealing with that you just feel like, they don't care what you say, or, who knows? It could be all kinds of different things where you just feel like you're just kind of stuck in this situation you really don't want to be in. You don't want to see it. You don't want to smell it. You don't want to deal with it. And that's what we would do the session around, would be that perception. And a lot of times it's our own, it's our perception. It may not even be reality. And so, but it is to us and it is to our body because we think that it's correct.
Right.
We think that they don't, like us, or we think that they feel this about us. And, there's a lot of disconnect and miscommunication. Dr. Bradley Nelson, and I just love him. And when I started doing body code and emotion code, it was just blew my mind about the heart wall and how people really do build up this huge wall, to protect themselves. And so a lot of the messages from person to person gets distorted because you have this huge wall trying to protect you. And sometimes it's physical, like we gain a lot of weight to protect us because our brain says, oh, it's not safe for you out there. So let me pad on or add on the weight to protect you because you've been, traumatized or whatever. I thought that was really interesting. And so you can actually do emotion code to determine what emotions are connected to your symptom of your allergies, And so there's lots of ways of identifying what's going on. And you'd be amazed that once you clear that, it's like, wow, I can breathe.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Another tool, EVOX is also done through the cradle. So
Right.
if you're interested in this, you can contact Rightway Health and Wellness. You can email them or go to Shop Rightway Health and Wellness, or shoprightwayhealth.com, and you can start your journey there. It's amazing how emotions play a key role. And we always end up going back there and talking about that, even when we're talking about the lymphatic system or when we're talking about cancer, we always gravitate to emotions. And where it always seems, and I should never say never and should never say always, but I use both of them. But when I think about the time that I'm spending with people trying to convince them that I'm not saying that it's in their head.
Right.
It's a gene expression. It's an expression of their body. It's the symptoms are real, So can you elaborate a little bit? I know we're coming to the end right here, but what could you tell someone that it can open them up to the possibility that they may have a trapped emotion that's keeping their immune system suppressed?
Right. So that's very true. And I think, in our culture, we've really trained people to think that if it's in their head or they think it and it's not, it doesn't go along with the norms, then they're crazy. And that's the pushback that you're getting from people, like, they don't want to share those thoughts or with you. They don't even want to think that, because then they think they have no control over it. But that is normal. I mean, it is normal for you to have these emotions. And I always tell people, when we do the biofeedback testing and it shows all the emotions and the ones that are out of balance, we all have every one of those emotions. Every one of us have anger, bitterness, resentment, all those low frequency emotions, but it's how we respond. It's our perspective. How long do we allow ourselves to stay in that emotion that matters? And so we all have those emotions. So we need to understand that it's completely normal. You're not a bad person when you're angry about something or a little resentful, but you have to learn how to get past that. Your symptoms your body is having, whether it's an acute reaction or a chronic reaction, is a signaling of the body to tell you that there's some kind of emotions that you're not dealing with, that you've suppressed many, many times. Our brain will access what's going on, and it's trying to just keep you alive. Basically, it really doesn't care if you're happy and joyful or whatever. It's just trying to keep you safe and trying to keep you alive. And that's what it's designed to do. And so when you have these symptoms, a lot of times it's because you've not dealt with old trauma, or even things that have been passed down from generation to generation. And you see these same patterns in your life, in your children's life, in your parents' life. And you wonder why that is. It's because no one has been willing to deal with it and release that. So then it has to be, it's that unfinished business that Dr. Dawson talks about, that then our children have to, carry that burden. And so when you release it in you, what's cool about it is that you can release it from your children as well.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. At first I thought, well, this is woohoo. But I have experienced it. My clients have experienced it, and it just blows your mind. And once you learn that, you can't unlearn. That's because right. It's like you have this awakening. So I highly encourage you to, take your symptoms and figure out what emotions, because I 110% guarantee you that there is an emotion somewhere buried behind that.
And once it's released, right?
And once it's released, your body can heal.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I so appreciate you. I'm so glad that we had this conversation today. I know that next month it's going to even be better. And I hope for those of you who are interested in going to Rightway Health and Wellness for the Recall Healing course with Dr. Michelle and Dr. Jen, you will always, always find yourself around like-minded people and learning and growing with them. And so thank you so much. Go to Rightway Health and Wellness, or you can go to shoprightwayhealth.com. Make sure you put Lily20 in there and be surprised with the discount. And please remember, thank you so much, Dr. Jen.
Thank you.
And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Jennifer Gramith wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps